Jess has been kidnapped, and my first reaction was just screaming in the phone.
It looks like they have knives attached to the ends of their guns. We're driving for about 10 minutes, and then suddenly we come to a really abrupt halt. I start hearing screaming, like angry men yelling in Somali and banging the butts of AK-47s. They're being slammed on the car hood. And a very angry looking man, he's got a gun to my head, and he starts screaming at the driver. He screams at him in English, drive, drive, drive. At one point, Paul turns around to, I think, check on me, and I whisper to him, what is happening? And I will never forget the look on his face was just like pity, because he realizes I don't understand what's happening yet.
It's an attack on an NGO convoy, and that
we stop and everybody piles out of the car. So we start walking into this just black abyss. I mean, you can't see anything. There are no stars. There's nothing. I can just hear them talking. I can hear the chains of ammunition clinking. It looks like they have knives attached to the ends of their guns, and all I can think is that they're gonna cut my head off. And so I say goodbye to Eric. I say goodbye to my dad and my sister, my brother. Finally, we're ordered to stop and to get down on our knees. And then one of them just says, sleep. And I look at Paul, and it's like, am I hearing this right? Like they just want us to lay down and go to sleep. And we both just collapse onto the ground and we don't move. Paul is laying next to me and he hasn't slept. So he was like, they're calling somebody in the UK. And that we were always moving, and it felt like we were being chased. It felt like it was very urgent. I kept hearing them talk about American, American, American. And that we were gonna die for. I call my dad and my sister, and both of their phones are disconnected. Paul starts to put it together and says, I bet this is on purpose. I bet they want just one point of contact.
Proof of life calls are important during the course of a negotiation. One of the hardest things to do in a kidnapping are talking into the situation.
That a man identifying himself as Mohammed picks up and explains that he is our
health of those that were kidnapped, of the victims.
We didn't even have a tent or a tarp. We're just out in the elements. We played games. We would play like the basic tic-tac-toe. There was goat poop everywhere, so they dry and make little pellets, and you can make little drawings out of them, or like little artwork and play games. We did math games. We were so dependent on each other in a way that neither one of us had ever had to depend on another human being before in our lives. But then one afternoon, Paul discloses some information to me that really changed the course of the rest of the. We were sitting there, not really doing much, and Paul gets like really honest with me, and he reveals to me that there had actually been rumors of a direct kidnapping threat in Galkayo.
They had not been seen as viable by...
That was definitely a very defining moment in the captivity for me. I was hurt on a personal level, and I was too tired to be angry, and I knew I needed to reserve that energy. My first fear was always that I was going to be it, and he, said, I will try to protect you as long as I can, but I don't know how long I can do that. Between $100,000 and $40 million is my lifespan. Angry when negotiations weren't moving in the right direction. One time he storms over.
Once we got her and the other hostage, which, one of the other guys had jumped on him, simultaneously, I guess the same kind of thing happened with his side, where the guy's, there he is, and one of my teammates dives on top of him, calms him down. He ended up right next to us.
My first question is where's Paul? Did Paul make it out? Is he okay? And he's sitting there. He leans over to me and he says, Jessica, do you know who these guys are? And I'm like, no, Paul. And he says, this is SEAL Team 6.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we have her. She's here, she's alive. And I'm looking all over her face, looking